Hi, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 31st. Can you believe it? Already the end of 2024. Anyway, welcome to Alabama Game Day today. And today, we're talking about the Reliaquest Bowl, Alabama versus Michigan. Needless to say, I think both teams are kind of disappointed to be in this spot. Michigan, they are the defending national champions. They had high hopes. They wanted to go back to the playoffs. Instead, they lost 5 games. On the other hand, you have Alabama, who every year their goal is to be in the playoff. But instead, they lose 3 games and they got left out of the playoffs. So here we are. We have the Reliaquest Bowl between two teams that were in the playoffs last year, but were left out this year. Michigan, they're coming in with a record of 7-5, but they do have an impressive win in the form of beating their main rival, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Alabama, they're coming in at a record of 9-3. Their signature win being Georgia. Also got key signature victories over South Carolina and Missouri. Alabama, the big storyline in this game is Alabama. Because Alabama, they thought they should be in the playoffs. A lot of media analysts thought they should be in the playoffs. Really, anybody that wasn't trolling doesn't think Alabama should have been given a good look at the playoff, but committee said they believe that conference championship appearances should be valued, and so they put SMU in, and Alabama got left out. So Alabama in this game playing when they really feel like they should be in the playoffs, and expect that to be basically the vibe from the team is that they should be in the playoffs. The key thing to look for is Alabama going to turn that feeling that they should be in the playoffs into a positive thing for this game, where they come out firing all cylinders to prove a point, or is it going to be more of a negative energy to where they don't want to be there and it shows? We've seen examples of both in the past from Alabama. 2013, you could tell when Alabama played in the Sugar Bowl instead of the BCS national title game that Alabama did not want to be there, and it turned it into a negative way. Alabama lost that game. But you also have positive examples like the 2022 Sugar Bowl, where Alabama felt like they should have been in the playoff. They take their aggressions out on Kansas State and dominate. Which version of Alabama shows up? Not a lot of key opt-outs, maybe a few from Michigan. Malachi Moore's not playing the game for Alabama. And of course, transfer portal players who decided to transfer out, which really the only key one that I can name right offhand for Alabama is Justice Haynes. And, Kendrick Law, he's been injured, so chances are he wasn't going to play the game anyway. We still got this last hurrah. And another thing, too, to keep in mind is that if Alabama wins, Alabama extends their streak of 10-win seasons to 16, a streak that's lasted since 2008. But if Alabama loses, the streak stops at 15. So can Alabama make yet another 10-win season, or will the streak be snapped? Alabama has to be disappointed to be at the game, but you got to play the game. The game still counts to the team's record. It counts to your record as a player. And it gives you one last opportunity to show your stuff. For example, if Jalen Milroe could have opted out of the game. Jalen Milroe could have said, I'm projected to be a first-round pick. I need to protect myself from injury, which I wouldn't have shamed him for it because, I'm not in that position. But he decided instead of choosing to not play the game, he said, I want to solidify my spot because I got to compete with Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, so I'm going to play the game. People like Jalen Milroe, they're going to be looking to solidify not only their legacy in college, their positions as top draft prospects. Kalen DeBoer looking to not be the guy who snapped the streak of 10-win seasons. If you're Bama, you need to win the game. Do you want to be remembered as the team that fought through adversity, got a 10-win season, even after everybody said they wouldn't when Saban retired? Or do you want to be remembered as the team that definitely should not have been in the playoffs? We've seen this story before. 2016, when the initial decision was made as to who would be in the playoffs, everybody said it should have been Penn State, not Ohio State. Nobody says that now because Penn State lost their bowl game. 2018, there was a lot of people who said Georgia should have been in over Oklahoma, but then Georgia lost their bowl game, and everybody stopped debating over that because they thought Georgia should have been there. 2019, 2019 Georgia actually won their bowl game, but still. 2022. Oh no, wait, not 2022. 2023. You had Florida State. A lot of people said Florida State should have been there despite losing Jordan Travis. Nobody, except for Florida State fans, says that Florida State should have been in there. And the reason why? They lost 63-3. And the key motif in all those years that I just said, 2016, 2018, 2023, was that the team that people debated should have been in there lost their bowl game, and then the debate stopped. And in all of those 3 years, the team that was brought into the playoffs actually lost in the first round. But people didn't care because the team that was debated as the alternative lost their bowl game, and so that team shouldn't have been in it. People are going to say if Alabama loses this game, that Bama should not have even been in consideration for the playoffs. They're not going to remember that SMU got blown out in the first round. They're going to remember that Alabama lost to its third unranked team, and they'll forever say that Bama never should have been there. So if you're Bama, do you want to set a precedent for yourself and for future that the committee thoroughly needs to look at who they're putting in the playoffs? Or do you want to prove the playoff right? If you're Alabama, you got to play. You got to win. Also, there's going to be a lot of transfers who are undecided about where they want to go. And if they're considering Alabama, they're going to have eyes out on the game. You lose to unranked Michigan, that lowers your chance you're going to get them. Recruits for 2026. If you lose this game, then that negatively impacts their decision for Bama. You have to win the game for the future of the program, for the seniors who will never play in an Alabama uniform again, regardless of if they never play football again or if they go to the NFL. They want to fondly remember their time at Alabama. Let's go out. Let's get one final victory for 2024. Let's get one final victory for those who will never be in an Alabama uniform again after this game. Let's get a victory to prove that maybe we should have been in the playoffs. And let's get another victory for ourselves. Because ultimately, the ones that Alabama has to be playing for are themselves and the people on the field. Let's define the legacy of this team. Define them that just because Saban's gone, we're not backing away. We're going to stay the Alabama that everybody knows. And while we may have occasional seasons where we don't make the playoffs, we are not a team that's just going to lie down in the face of adversity. We're going to rise to the occasion. We're going to build, and we are going to play good football. Alabama fans, have confidence in DeBoer. DeBoer can build for the future. Look at what he did with Washington. He took over a 4-8 team. The next year he had him going 8-4, and then the next year he had him in the playoffs. Who's not to say that in DeBoer's second year he's going to build Bama back into the playoffs? Remember, and I'm not making excuses for this team. I'm not. There's no way we should have lost to Vanderbilt. There's no way we should have lost 24-3 to Oklahoma. But DeBoer, you can't pin it fully on DeBoer. Because DeBoer took over a team that lost 48 players. He didn't get an opportunity to use the main transfer portal window. He had to rely mostly on the players that were still there, recruits who had committed, and people he could get out of the spring window, but most of the main people already committed. And he led to a 9-3 season. Who's to say, with control of the team, with the ability to bring in transfers, with the recruiting class that we just signed that's number 2 in the nation. Last year's class was number 2 in the nation. And with a good opportunity to build this team and to truly make it his own, that DeBoer will not bring us to the playoffs. I think he could very well bring us to the playoffs in year 2. But let's set the groundwork today. Set the groundwork for the future of the program. Solidify this team's legacy. Give the CFP something to think about in future years. And win this for yourselves. That concludes this episode of Alabama Game Day Today, the final Alabama Game Day Today for the 2024 college football season. If Bama makes it to the NCAA tournament in basketball or the NCAA tournament in baseball, I will most likely do an Alabama Game Day Today for those games. But as of right now, the next confirmed episode of Alabama Game Day Today will not happen until August 2025, when Alabama kicks off the season against Florida State. In the meantime, please continue to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, because just because the season's going to be over after tomorrow for Alabama does not mean that I'm shutting down until August of next year, because we got a ton of college football news to cover. The college football playoff doesn't end until January 20th. Then we got the confirmation of the draft classes. We got March Madness, which hopefully Bama will be a part of. We got spring practice, spring training. We've got a whole bunch of college football news that's going to happen throughout now in August. We got schedule previews and predictions coming throughout the offseason to look at what's going to happen in next season. Keep it coming. I'm not done just because the football season's over. See y'all. I'll see y'all probably at halftime and definitely after the game to give my thoughts on the game. And then Wednesday, I will deliver my final thoughts on the season. And again, stay subscribed, stay tuned, because we're just getting started, even though the season is over. Have a great day. I hope your team either won their bowl game or will win their bowl game, unless your team is the Michigan Wolverines. Roll Tide.